Shalom to Rabbi Nachman Seltzer, author and educator.
Shalom Yoni.
So today we're talking with you about the book you wrote about stories from Jerusalem, as told by Rabbi Yisrael Gelis.
So I came to the project because I was interviewing Rabbi Gelis about somebody he helped for many years. The person's name was Rebbetzin Esther Youngreis, and I was asked to do a book about Rebbetzin Youngreis, and one of the people they gave me the interview was Rabbi Gelis. So the book came out already, Rebbetzin Youngreis. It's called The Rebbetzin. It sold close to 15,000 copies since it came out before Purim. A huge bestseller around the world. But when I sat with Rabbi Gelis and I was asking him questions, I said, this man he's a book. I'm here to interview him about someone else, but this person is so unique, I should really write a book about him. So I'm talking to him, and I said to him, do you want to write a book? And we started the conversation, and he wasn't so interested at first, but he came around. And as I was leaving, he showed me something. He took a little tick Yerushalayim out of his closet, a little square tick, and he gives it to me, and he says, here, hold this. What do you think's inside? So I hold it, and I said, it feels like rocks. So he said, he opens it up, and he shows me one rock, round, smooth rock. So you know what this is? I said, what is this? He said, this rock was shot by the Roman catapults at the walls of the Beis HaMikdash thousands of years ago. You know, when you grow up, you hear the stories of the Romans shooting stones at the walls of the Yerushalayim, right? This is one of those rocks. I said, how do you have it? He said, interesting story. Glad you asked. So back in 1967, after the Six-Day War, the mayor of Yerushalayim is Teddy Kollek. Teddy Kollek gives a lot of money, funds the archaeologists, and they do a lot of digging around the walls of the old city. There they come across a lot of these rocks that were shot by the Romans. Most of them were cracked in half, broken into three parts. This rock was complete. And they gave it to Teddy Kollek as a token of their appreciation. They gave it to him together with a stand for his office. Now Teddy Kollek calls Rabbi Yisrael Gelis' father one day to the office. He worked for the Jerusalem municipality, Rabbi Yaakov Gelis, and he says to him, listen, Rabbi Yaakov, I'm not a big fan of the Haredim, but I like you, so I'm giving you this rock. He said, if I keep it in my office, I'll end up throwing it at someone. I'm giving it to you. Here's the rock. And Yaakov Gelis gave it to his son, and this is a legit piece of heritage, history, holding a rock that's a few thousand years old, hit the walls of the Beis HaMikdash is not something you do every day. So then I understood that really it's a good idea to write a book about this person.
And he was mainly a journalist throughout the years. That's where he got all these stories from.
He's been on the scene for many years. Shach sent him to start Yad Neman. He was one of the founding people. He reported live from when Arutz Sheva had a boat. And if you know this, you know the history of your radio station. Arutz Sheva used to report from a boat in the Mediterranean. And so he was the journalist out in the boat in the middle of the ocean reporting. Sometimes the waves were so strong you couldn't even get a tape into the tape deck to get a song played. You have to just talk until the waves calm down. He would jump off a boat to get back into the little boat, take him to shore. Sometimes the wave moved and the boat moved and he fell and he broke his leg when he jumped from the big boat into the small boat. So Rabbi Yisrael Gelis has a tremendous history in the area of journalism, radio personality, and historian and tour guide. Just a great, he was the host of a very popular show on Reshet Bet called Malav Malka for many, many years. He's a veteran journalist. He's a very well-known person.
You know, there's so many Jerusalem stories out there. What are unique about his?
There's a surface street, and then there's the story that happened underneath the street. There's what you see on Har HaZeitun, and then there's the stories that lay beneath. Are you satisfied with the surface, or do you want to get underneath the story? Do you want the real story? If you're a journalist, you work for a radio, you're a journalist. The real journalist, what separates the man from the boys are the journalists who get the prizes, are the guys who peel off the layers and get to the real story. You can walk down the street in Yerushalayim and see a mosque in Geula and wonder to yourself, why is there a mosque in Geula? But you don't know the answer. But your Rabbi Gelis can tell you the answer because he knows the real story. And the mosque is called Nebi Uchsha, and it's named after the nephew of Muhammad who was there. And Rehov HaNeviim is named after three of Muhammad's students, not even Jewish Neviim. And that mosque right at the top right across from Strauss and Bikur Cholim Hospital, you go down the direction of Malchei Yisrael, you see a mosque. That mosque is over a place called Karta de Pitcha, which is considered the place where Mashiach is going to come from. And that's all the thing you would never know. If you walk down the street on Rehov Strauss, you would never know that there's a mosque there from the time of Muhammad. Rehov Navim is called after the students of Muhammad, and that this place is where Mashiach is going to come from. You wouldn't know that after this, that during this Saddam Hussein's attacking Yerushalayim, attacking Israel with Scud missiles, that the Mekubalim went and made a circle around the mosque, and they did what they did, and they said what they said, and then they got word while they were there that the war was over. There was a ceasefire between the Americans and the Iraqis. You wouldn't know that during World War II, the Mekubalim went to Nebi Ukhsha, the mosque on Rehov Strauss, and davened, and then Rommel didn't cross the border. You wouldn't know that walking down the street on Rehov Strauss. You would not. You see, the coffee shop. You see, a clothing store, but you don't know what's really going on. You don't know the real story. But if you go with Rabbi Gellis, suddenly the whole picture opens up, and you understand there's whole history that you don't even see. That's what's great about Rabbi Gellis.
And he himself is unique, a real Jerusalemite, a real Yerushalmi.
Yerushalayim is a unique place. The people of Yerushalayim are unique people. Rabbi Gellis is a classic example of a real Yerushalmi Jew, open-minded, accepting, wise, learned. He's a wonderful, wonderful individual. A Talmud of Chevron Yeshiva. He went to the army. He served the country. At the same time, he's a Talmud Chacham who taught Torah. He's a very round figure. He's a person, Yerushalmi Jews are very unique, and he's a classic example of the uniqueness of the Yerushalmi Jew. Close to many figures, understands everyone, able to talk to everyone, relate to everyone, respects everyone. At the same time, unabashedly Haredi, not embarrassed of who he is, a person who's a Talmud Chacham, a Chassid. He's a unique individual and somebody that, I'm honored to call a friend. He's a very special man. I enjoyed spending time with him. I love hanging out with him. Just sometimes I'll go have a l'chaim with him, and we have a l'chaim with a few days ago, I had a l'chaim with him in his apartment. He pulls out a bottle of wine. They found this wine at a winery that was in Beis Yisrael, and the bottle of wine was found. It's 120 years old, Yoni. You ever had wine 120 years old? It was Trumas and Mice was taken by a Shmuel Salat 120 years ago. Rabbi Gellis has a bottle of wine, and I had a l'chaim with him 3 times from that bottle. You don't have that every day. That's unique.
Wow. Okay, Rabbi Nachman Seltzer will end with a l'chaim. Thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure being with you. Be matzliach.